There's been a lot of great strategy and tactical advice about breakaways on the podcast, but I've noticed it's almost always from the perspective of the person in the break. And by definition, most people aren't in the break most of the time. So can you give some advice for a Cat 4 looking to upgrade who didn't make the break? So yeah, this is a good point. Also, Matt, I'm almost always the guy I feel like that misses the break too. I feel like everybody probably feels that way because, like you said, more often than not, we are not in the break because there are a few people in the break.
This is my worst fear.
Missing the break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so Nate always points, like we've talked about races. He's like, yeah, but if the break goes, then like the race is over.
And I drove 6 hours for
to
10
ride around
minutes
in
of
the back.
racing.
Mm-hmm. It's frustrating. And that's one downside. If you're going to have teammates, think about that. Like, do you really want to put yourself in a situation where you have teammates so you may have to just sit back and ride? It's up to you.
A lot of teammates say, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, they're still teammates.
Yeah, they're still teammates and they still do that.
Yeah. So what tips would you give for somebody that when you aren't in the break, what do you do?
Yeah,
when you miss it?
I think there's a period in time directly after the break goes where it's still susceptible to being bridged or brought back. Mm-hmm. And so you have to kind of throw all your matches, all your bullets, all your cannonballs, whatever you have for that next 5 minutes, you know, and you have to also capitalize on the way you're going to get across. Like Nate's a good example where he's kind of going to go Hail Mary, 60-second effort, 90-second effort. So that means he actually has to respond sooner than like I would. Like I would want to get across in probably 2 laps, 5 minutes or something like that. And so that's where you pick the way you're going to get across and the timing in the amount of the time the break has. So if the break has 20 seconds, that's ideal for Nate. Nate can do 20 seconds.
I can do either.
Well, I was just going to say, maybe Nate's entirely shifted his power profile, and everybody that feels like they know how Nate's going to race when Nate races this weekend, you maybe just don't know how he's going to race.
If you're concerned about me in this weekend, you're going to lose because this is a P12 race, and
I'm trying to throw something into the
No, but I think the power profile, it depends on how far they are. Mm-hmm. So if they're 20 seconds up, I think that's when you should go like an 800 watt digger for a long time and try to like really bridge it quickly, just pretty much get it over. But if it's 5 minutes, you got to pace it differently.
Yeah, and definitely it always matters. Capitalize on other people doing the same thing you are. And in that short period of time, once the break is gone, it's always gone, right? It's never going to fall apart, and people aren't going to magically get motivated in the last 20 minutes of a race. That never happens.
So all three of us actually in the racing that we've done, I know it's going to change this year for you probably, Nate, but all three of us in the racing that we've done locally, or I guess for Nate and I, period, but for you just locally, we tend to be marked riders, right? So this is a bit of an exception. So in many cases, if we miss the break and we're back with the pack, a lot of the time people just look to marked riders to make this sort of move. But something that's important for you to remember, even if you are the marked rider, you are not the only person that wants to chase the breakdown. Mm-hmm. And they're just waiting for somebody to make a move. Everybody is. And if you wait just a little bit longer, chances are somebody else is going to make that move. I feel like that's one good thing, is to remind yourself that it's not entirely up to you, and chances are somebody else wants to do it. Because, it helps so much when you can just latch onto a wheel instead of being the person that makes it happen.
And you can stir the pot too. You know, if you have 5 minutes until the break gets too far ahead for you to chase down, you can do some probing attacks just to stir things up and make people kind of react to you and activate a little bit. And even if there's a team controlling the front of the race, definitely attack, because you want to upset their kind of control that they have on the front of the field. But you only have the fuse is lit, so you only have 5 minutes or 10 minutes to do this, and you have to kind of put all your eggs in that first basket to get across.
Yeah,
I think a crit is different than a road race too. If you're in a road race, I've definitely had it. You're riding solo probably in a Cat 4, and like talk to people and try to organize. Say, hey, does anyone want to work together, pull these guys back? Mm-hmm. And oftentimes there'll be 4 or 5 people. Yes. Yeah. And this isn't a race ending. Like you can work together and you can still win the race and bring it back.
For sure.
We're in a crit too. If it's going really fast, I find it's harder to organize people.
Yeah.
To pull people back. So do that. And also, if you can't organize people, I think go for the Hail Mary solo bridge.
Yeah.
And if it's long out there, some people know. If someone comes with you, awesome. Yeah. But if no one goes with you, get a good workout.
What would you say about this tactic, Pete? I've seen some people not be so, like, let's say a break goes up the road, and then what you have is a group of riders after that are like in the large group, and a handful of them that are throwing out attacks to try to get across, but as soon as other people latch on, they kind of ease up and they don't want to do it. So you have a handful of attackers, and then I've seen some people play like the role of the bridge, like the glue, so to speak, so that in between those attacks, they're fine with sitting on the front and carrying a good pace. Is that a good strategy to do? Because I assume their intent is like not let the break get too far away while these shenanigans play out. So should we be that person, or is that not advisable?
I think being the glue is the worst spot to be. I do think that there is kind of that magical land in if the break is gone and the field shuts down, being that solo, even if you are solo bridging for the last half of the race, a lot of the time that's a more successful strategy than sitting in. A lot of time you don't get brought back and you just sit in no man's land and you race the next half an hour or 2 hours by yourself.
Speaking of power profile, in a 35 plus Cat 4 race that happened, and after, 4 hours of racing, I did 15 minutes at 360 something, and I solo bridged to a breakaway and I won. And there's a video called What to Do When You Bridge to a Breakaway. But people actually, when I left too, talk about the strategy after the race, they're like, we didn't think you were going to make it, so we didn't go with you.
When one rider's up the road, they're like, fool's errand, let that guy go. Like that's silly. But a lot of the time, if you are that rider, let's say you do bet on yourself and you're trying to make it across, you might as well bet on yourself, first of all, rather than betting on other people. And then the other side of it, if it becomes apparent to the rest of the group that you are going to make it, chances are they're going to try to then end up getting close to you if you're still in sight, like at a criterium. So then at that point, if they are getting close, you can rest up for just a little bit on your effort, and then you have more people to kind of launch with. So it's really, kind of like you have a backup plan with it.
Another thing for lower categories is when you're look at where the other races are, and you got to be looking behind you, because I've had this happen where you get passed by another group and then you get neutralized, and if there's a break off the front, it is so frustrating because
you can't catch them.
You can't catch them. You get close. We had that where a masters group was doing one less lap than us, so they were on the last lap. We had another lap. The break was off and they had like a minute, which is already a big amount. And then they went by, and we had to ride for like 10 or 15 miles. They went by us quickly, and then they sat up, and the race official wouldn't let us repass them.
It's like the worst scenario.
And I had just organized chase, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do 300 watts and just like pull for as long as I can. And we had to wait, and they got like a 4 minute. It was like something crazy, but we still caught them in the end. But I put out so much energy for that catch. But the other thing is good too. If you think the masters group's going to catch you, or especially when there's different amounts of laps, because they will go faster in the last lap, is you go on the attack where you think it's going to happen, and you can take advantage of that. It's just that's the way it is, and it would be nice if that wouldn't happen, but it's frustrating, right? I think it's happened to Brandon Nee, lost overall, right?
Because stage race because of it twice. And it was Brandon style, like only a race for the year. Brandon life.
They got neutralized though with like just a couple miles to go when they were like 20 seconds up the road.
And then they get 2 minutes, and then he loses the overall.
I struggle to ever say poor Brandon because of like, that guy's walk KG and everything else. But he certainly works for it too. But
he does.
Poor Brandon.
But I think don't, just because the break goes overall, you still have like 5 strategies to implement, and figuring out the best strategy for you based on the race and the amount of time left and the type of rider you are.
And the last thing is, points aside, because I've been in the way where you're just like, I need the points, so you want to bring them back, and you kind of get desperate. One of the videos we had me doing that. But if not, just reset. Pretend they're not in the race. Okay, this is the new field. Let's practice some things. I'm going to race this like it is the whole peloton.
It's like a good way to kind of like salvage the race, right?
And you can still win from a field sprint, or you can attack them and win from them.
And at the very least, you can learn stuff.
Exactly.
And get in a good
workout and experience.
If you like that video, subscribe to our channel, or let us know down below with a like or a comment on this video.
And if you want to check out more race analysis videos, click on me.
And if you want your coaching questions answered, click on me.
And if you want to find out more about what we do here at TrainerRoad, you can go to TrainerRoad.com.